Your name is John Kafi.
It got real with hot steel coming in, cutting and jigging, digging deeper aching, keep awaking. The rest is long, but goddamn it, the pressure storm, fucking pain, clutching my brain, touching the veins, arteries bleeding heavily. Part of me leaving steadily, getting harder to breathe, and yet I'll be still alive. I'ma make it, I will survive, I'ma take it to the next level. Yo, I'm wildin'. Do the vex devil know my styling? Held down, hellbound, gravity having me sinking, thinking I'm my motherfucking man. Got a brother stuck in a jam. Drama, son, the buck in the scam, getting me, wetting me, crimson drenched. In my mind, son, I find hymns entrenched. A lot of mournful, faint humming. Tomorrow's dawn, I swear that shit ain't coming.
Your name is John Kafi.
Greetings, you are now listening to Coffee Talk, and this is John Kafi. Here at Coffee Talk, we do this for the culture with new episodes every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. You can check us out online at www.coffee-talk.com. That is KAFI-TALK.com. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at John_Coffee_. Follow me on Twitter at John_Coffee. Be sure to like that Facebook page at facebook.com/coffeetalkpod. You can subscribe to us on YouTube at Coffee Talk, hosted by John Kafi, and we're also available on Spotify. Once again, that is KAFI. Now, first order of business is our news story of the day, which is about iRobot. FN Meka is a computer-generated digital entity that allegedly they used a real rapper's voice to set the tone, and then the computer thought on its own after that point. And basically there's a digital character, fully digitized, not real hip-hop artist that got signed to a major record deal. So there's a news story from brooklynvegan.com. It says, as you've heard, one of this week's biggest and weirdest stories in the music world is that Capitol Records has signed an AI rapper, FN Meka, who was already a star on TikTok with over 10 million followers, and whose debut single, Florida Water, features Gunna and Fortnite streamer Clicks. And he's reportedly the world's first AI rapper to sign to a major deal, and then they dropped him following controversy surrounding his use of the N-word and for making light of police brutality. Now, the New York Times' Joe Coscarelli shared a statement from Capitol, which reads, Capitol Music Group has severed ties with the FN Meka project, effective immediately. We offer our deepest apologies to the black community for our insensitivity in signing this project without asking enough questions about equity and the creative process behind it. We thank those who have reached out to us with constructive feedback. In the past couple of days, your input was invaluable as we came to the decision to end our association with the project. Now, digitally generated rappers. Here's my take on it. What better way to commodify the culture for clout? Seeing as how hip-hop and black culture in their purest forms are frequently snatched away, diluted to the point of being more digestible by mainstream culture, and then sold back to us, this would only seem like a natural progression of the fuckery. 16 years ago, one of your favorite commercial rappers, Nas, told you hip-hop was dead. Remember that? I know a few people that felt the same way the first time a rap record was pressed and released, be it Sugar Hill Gang, Rapper's Delight, or whatever you consider as the first commercial release of hip-hop. I think that's because the reins were then handed over to entities outside of the culture itself to dictate new rules to us. And most of us within the culture easily accepted it from back then until now. Now, over the years, I have known many people that have thought, the elements of hip-hop culture were drugs, guns, cars, and money, instead of art, dance, music, and poetry. Now, this perspective readily allows those outside of the experience to kind of demonize and criminalize people that lay claim to the title of hip-hop artist. And looking at the nature and history of rap music in the major industry, it's often difficult to debate this argument. You know, the most violent, misogynistic, ignorant, and morally bankrupt are often propped up as idols for the rest of us to worship. Now, out of the classic elements of hip-hop, you know, DJ, graph writer, breaker, and MC, the MC has been the only one packaged and marketed in this way, as a corrupt American idol. No other genre of music glorifies the debauchery of its stars like rap music. Even rock and roll, with all of its sex and drugs, has a moral compass. If you take a closer look, a lot of the wild rockers from back in the day have gradually transformed into grumpy conservative senior citizens. Now, the Tupac hologram at Coachella Music and Arts Festival back in 2012 was one of the first instances of the packaging and marketing of a person as an emblem of the culture being taken to an almost obscene level. I like to call it digital purgatory. While the FN Meka character isn't quite the same as evoking the spirit of your favorite deceased rapper to squeeze a few more pennies out of his soul via digital tap dance, I do think it falls dangerously close to the same category. Now, how do you feel about it? Let me know in the comments section of the YouTube video. While you're there, be sure to tap that bell icon and subscribe to my channel. All right, for our Kafi's Krates segment of the podcast, I will be checking out some music or referring you to some music that I think is good. For this episode, our debut episode, I want to start out with addressing the album that our special featured guest is a part of, which is Black Feather Messengers by Bedlam Brethren. Once again, it does feature Kevlar 7, the late Kevlar 7. Rest in peace, definitely, of Wiseman out of Detroit by way of Grand Rapids. It also features Chief Kamachi, who's a former member of Army of the Pharaohs, you know, the extended family of Vinnie Paz, Jedi Mind Tricks. Then we have another feature by Thurston Howell III, who will be discussing later on in the podcast when we talk to Udi. He's the low-life general, you know, he's got his own movement, well established, the Polo Rican, you know, so that's a legendary feature right there. Also Verbal Gods, also known as Holocaust Sons out of Indianapolis, and a few other features. It's totally produced by Spearman from New Zealand. It's got a dark classic hip-hop sound to it. It's reminiscent of the 90s. We got when we released it got a lot of fanfare as far as overseas people that were more appreciative of that type of vibe, that throwback vibe. And it's definitely a good piece of work, so be sure to check that out. Also on the radar, of course, is being released, I should say, August 26th, which is actually the time of this recording, The Elephant Man's Bones by Rock Marciano and The Alchemist. Now, Rock Marciano was a part of a clique called the UN back in the day. He was also known as being a associate of Busta Rhymes and part of the Flip Mode Squad at one point. I remember off of that Anarchy album with Busta Rhymes, he had a joint he was featured on with Ray and Ghost. So Rock Marcy, he's been touted as the godfather of the new hip hop renaissance, you know. So he's definitely someone to check for, and this is his newest release. And what's special about this release is it's entirely produced by The Alchemist, and I heard it's been many years in the making. So you definitely want to check that out. It's got a real theatric sound to it. There's a couple singles out, I believe, already. Deja Vu, maybe. And some of the features include Ice-T, Knowledge the Pirate, which is his close associate that he appears on a lot of songs with, and Action Bronson, who he also does collabs with, as well as Boldy James out of Detroit, who is a member of the Griselda family. Now, I gotta address one of my favorite MCs as a fan is Black Thought, and he's got a new album out with Danger Mouse, the producer DJ Danger Mouse. It's called Cheat Codes, and it's really great. It came out August 12th, so it's already out there. Go check it out on the streaming services. And it's got a few high-powered guest features. Raekwon, Joey Badass, MF Doom is on there. R.I.P. to MF Doom. ASAP Rocky, Run the Jewels, Conway the Machine from Griselda. So be sure to check that out. It's called Cheat Codes. Danger Mouse, for those that don't know, is he did a remix of a Jay-Z album, the Black Album. It was called, and he used some Beatles samples from the White Album, and they called it the Gray Album. So that's a remix album he did, or a mashup, you could say. And he also produced the Mouse and the Mask with MF Doom. So you want to be sure to check that out. And on that note, that's it for this edition of Kafi's Krates. We'll keep you in tune with that underground sound, episode by episode, letting you know some new releases that I'm currently enjoying. And we'll try to keep you in touch with all that ill hip-hop, that ill underground sound.
Perfect style raw, job balls unorthodox, write pressures in the language of street dwellers, Pandora's box. Fuck your passport, that's HD talk. You might get your head knocked off for the love of the sport. Blood rich port, I guzzle rum bottles, machetes handy. Watch for snakes and the berries of killers and poison candy. School face gym cracks, get spotted for their gimmicks. I'll be godly, generous, porty face with it.
You were just listening to a snippet of Purgatory article by Bedlam Brethren, and the man whose voice you heard is none other than our special featured guest for our debut episode of Coffee Talk. He is 1/3 of the classic hip-hop trio from the early 2010s that delivered that ancient hip-hop sound known as Bedlam Brethren. He goes by a few names such as Hollow Christ and Erratic Assassin. Please welcome Udi of Bedlam Brethren to Coffee Talk. How you doing today, sir?
Yo, what's up, man? How you doing?
Doing great, doing great. Now, I wanted to get right into it and just start at the beginning and let us know, like, your life in New York. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to let the people know real quick that the diverse thing about Bedlam Brethren, as far as culturally, is that we come from 3 different locations on the planet. Well, 2 of us come from the same country, but 1 person is from a whole different country. Spearman is from all the way in New Zealand, down under, and Udi is from New York City specifically. I'll let him tell you the rest of that, but me myself, I'm from Indiana, from East Central Indiana, so we come from a diverse background, and Udi himself transplanted to Indiana some years ago, so I'm gonna let him tell the story. But I just wanted you to let them know what it's like as far as the culture shock of maybe your life growing up in New York versus the Indiana life.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was a shock. You know what I mean? Because of the fact that, growing up in New York City, you live a fast life. It's so fast. You hear about that when people talk about New York. It's like coming over here to Indiana. Everything slowed down. Everything was like really, really. The level was like, whoa, slowing down, But, once that happened, it was like, it definitely was a culture shock because of the fact how, things was in the city, growing up in one of the biggest cities in the world. It's definitely something that's different when you come over here, when there's like nothing around. 24/7, everything's open, and then why over here it's like nothing, woods.
Yeah, the city never sleeps, right?
Right. You got people constantly outdoors. You got outside. You got people. You got it's live.
The diversity, right, as well. As far as like Haitians, Jamaicans, Puerto Rican, Dominican. You come to Indiana. I mean, it's getting more diverse as time goes by, but here it's not really as mixed up as it is there, and it's a lot more culture, language, and food, and clothes, and all that.
Absolutely, New York City is one of the places where people come from all over the world. So you have all different, cultures from all different parts of the world that unites into one city. And out here in Indiana, it's just a little bit you know, a lot of people out here, I found that a lot of people out here really don't know. There's more like different cultures of the world is out there. It's like they should try to embrace that, you know what I mean?
Right.
And try to like, you know, try that out, you know, check that out, because it's like that. And for me, growing up in New York, I got the best of both worlds. As for growing up in a city where you know, it was a multitude of people and different people all over the place, and coming over here, and it's like New York City is a whole lot different than here, man. But I like it out here though.
Yeah. I wanted to mention one thing, because you know, I went out there. You invited me out there. We shot the video. We shot a couple videos in New York, and we were actually in your stomping grounds, which is what part of New York?
East side, Spanish Harlem.
Yeah, 116, right?
116 between Lexington and Park, La Marqueta, you already know.
Yeah, that's what's up. So, like, you know, the movie Carlito's Way, and also like Malcolm X, you know, there's a lot of historical movie or theatrical cinematic events that have went down in that particular area, as far as, you know, filming, and as far as, I mean, come on, we know about the Spanish Harlem song by Aretha Franklin. That's what East Harlem is, Spanish Harlem. So, you know, tell them a little bit about that Carlito's Way.
Yeah, Carlito's Way was filmed right there on my block on 116. Part of it was, anyway. So on 116, there's a place called La Marqueta, which back in the 80s, it used to be a market. 70s and 80s, it was a market where you find all sorts of stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. From fish to all sorts of sewing materials and whatnot. But they used to have a little fruit stand, and it was under a bridge, under a train bridge, a Metro North train bridge, and the Marqueta was. And also under a part of that bridge was a little fruit stand, and that they used that in Carlito's Way when he just came out of prison and met up with his connect. Right. The time that he's retired. But yeah, man, it was a lot of good movies and good shows was made around the way.
Yeah, y'all be sure to check out that Carlito's Way movie. It is a classic film. Al Pacino, you know, John Leguizamo, et cetera, et cetera. You know, the list goes on and on. It's a very deep film about seeking redemption and you know, getting caught up when you're trying to do the right thing and all that. It's a very
good movie, man.
Yeah,
it's a good movie.
So I did want to, you know, kind of approach the topic, since this is a hip hop based podcast. I did want to address your beginnings as far as what got you into the culture of hip hop and some of your earliest inspirations.
I mean, I don't think nothing got me into the culture. It's just kind of like I discovered the culture as I was growing up, going through my teenage years and listening to my cousin's joints. You know what I mean? And shout out Jose, you know what I'm saying, Jay Platinum. You know what I mean? You know, a lot of music around the way, New York City, man, you know, from the 80s through the 90s, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, all these different styles are coming out, you know what I mean? It's just kind of like, I like the way things were progressing from the 80s all the way through the 90s, you know what I mean? Right. And the lyrics were getting more and more that I could, you know, get my attention more, you know what I'm saying? So it kind of like drew me into that, you know, that culture. You know, besides that, you know what I mean, I was already hanging around with Zulus and all that back then.
It helps that you were in not only the cultural mecca, but the ground zero when it comes to hip hop, you know?
Right, absolutely. So, you know, so it was always constantly around. It just kind of like took its time for me to come to it, you know what I mean?
Right, no doubt. So who would you consider among all of the hip hop that you listened to in your early years, when it first caught your ear, when you first said, "Hey, I want to do that. I think I might want to pick up the pen." Who do you think were some of your early inspirations and any inspirations when it comes to hip hop?
Some of my inspirations, I mean, when I was younger, you know, most of the joints that I was listening to was like West Coast joint. Ice Cube, of course, had a good, you know what I'm saying, friend of mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's real. That's surprising, you know, to be from New York and having the West Coast be, you know, one of your inspirations. You know, that's a unique approach.
Yeah, I mean, growing up in that wild, man. I mean, like growing up, you know, living all that in that wild. I mean, we were listening to like, you know, through the '90s and shit. You know, listening to like West Coast joints, Midwest joints. So it's like
he had a diverse palette when it came to hip hop, huh?
Yeah. So it's like, you know, it's Ice Cube was one of, you know what I'm saying, was one that I was listening to heavy. That shit was on rotation all the time. You know, Gorillas in the Mist.
Oh yeah, Lynch Mob.
And I mean, so many joints. Easy, of course. You know, rest in peace, Easy. But as far as like inspiration, yeah, like Cube, Cypress Hills, you know, God's Effects,
right?
You know, House of Pain. You know, I was listening to all them joints.
Who was one of the early New York MCs that you like early on were inspired by?
I'm gonna say I've listened to like early days, like Special Ed, of course, Dane the Dane. As far as like to pick up a pen, you know, that came later on in the '90s. You know what I mean? So
you were still a fan during those early stages, huh?
Oh yeah. I mean, I was still listening. I mean, I wrote my first rhyme. My first rhyme I wrote, man, was to Dear Mama.
Tupac. It's another West Coast. Yeah.
And I wrote that. I remember my, you know what I'm saying, like, there was like a barbecue out. You know, we went out, I can't remember where it was. It was 115. And I remember somebody had a mic, and I spit that rhyme on there.
Yeah, that's a dope ass beat though, for real. That Dear Mama beat, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's that joint. I had the instrumental on. I had the maxi single cassette with the instrumental on it. But yeah, like, I mean, Tupac's from New York anyway, you know, originally, so you know, it is what it is. But and also with Ice Cube, when he left NWA, he went to the Bomb Squad with Chuck D and them. So that's, you know, he went to the East to, you know, early on. So yeah, he had that New York appeal and flavor to his early music. But we gotta tap into the Black Feather Messengers album, which is the debut album of Bedlam Brethren, of which Udi is a member. And this album is it's, I mean, come on, it's considered, it was critically acclaimed, and by many it's considered a classic.
Considered a classic. I've seen it and heard. And that's real. Y'all ain't even picked that up. You pick it up.
Yeah, you can go to bedlambrethren.bandcamp.com. That's BEDLAMBRETHREN, bedlambrethren.bandcamp.com. The album is it's 14 tracks, and it's got features like, you know, Kevlar 7, Chief Kamachi,
Rest in peace, Kev.
Our People's Verbal Gods, and Thurston Howell III, who is, you know, well connected to you from back in the day. We'll talk about that later. But I just wanted to, off top, address the album. Like, how do you feel about the response to the album? Like, are you satisfied with the response it got when it dropped? Like, as far as what was the general vibe you got from people after they heard the album?
I mean, the vibe that I got from some people is I mean, they felt the album. A lot of people felt the album. What I think that I think it was a little bit ahead of itself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Most of the people that have said things about the album, it's been positive things. So
right.
You know, it's like, and I've seen comments and everything, and much love to all the people that love the album. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Bedlam Brethren, like
Somebody said they're praying for part 2.
word, yeah. You know what I'm saying? I seen that. That's actually that's true story. I seen somebody was posting that, so I'm praying and fasting. That's that love though. That's that love though. That's
Yeah.
You know, as far as like, you know, the vibe that I get, you know, I get a positive vibe. I just feel like a lot of people, when the album dropped, a lot of people kind of like didn't know what to expect.
Right.
So when the album dropped, you know, it's like, you know, everybody felt it, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I think a lot of people should, you know what I'm saying? A lot of more people should, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's on vinyl now, especially. You can get it on 12-inch vinyl, bedlambrethren.bandcamp.com. And I got a few CDs left. I'm willing to mail out to a few if necessary, some limited editions. But, you know, Savage Trinity from Verbal Gods, he was talking to me a few months ago, actually. And he, no doubt, shout out Trinity. And you know what he said to me? He said that, like, the shit that y'all did, like, on that Bedlam album, he said basically, like, Griselda, how they're, like, blowing up now with, you know, West Side Gun and all that. It's kind of like, it's almost like in that vein. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, shout out to West Side Gun, shout out to Bang, shout out to the whole Griselda fam, you know what I mean? But I think Bedlam Brethren falls in his own category. A lot of people, when the whole movement started, it's like, yo, you know, people didn't understand the title. People didn't understand the name.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, once people started peeping it out and checking it out even more and going in deeper into it, I think a lot of people, you know, were like really want to know more and really got close. But they put us in the category, I felt like, that it's more like in its own vibe, in its own zone.
Right.
You know what I mean? In the hip hop game.
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
Underground hip hop game.
Definitely Bedlam has its own knowledge / dark / you know, street appeal to it. But I mean, in general, like, if you listen to, like, I'm a big fan of Conway and The Machine and Benny the Butcher and West Side Gun, and I've been listening to them for a while. So what I mean is, it's like the archaic beats, the boom bap appeal, the old school rules, playing by the old school rules. That's like they made a big push for that, almost like a renaissance. It's like with Rock Marciano and people like that. There's a few people, it's making a resurgence now. And it's like, what I think Trinity meant by that is, like, y'all was back then, y'all were on that. Y'all never let go of the tradition. You held on to it. So, you know, throughout the, you know, through thick and thin, you were repping those old school credentials, you know? Or true school, I should say.
That's peace. Shout out to Savage, man. That's my dude, man.
Yeah. Verbal Guys. I'm actually gonna reach out. I'm gonna reach out to Zion 7 about doing an interview very, very soon. So if you're listening, hit me up, or I'll hit you up soon. But yeah, as far as like mentioning like the sound of the album, I just wanted to go through track by track and not necessarily track by track, but ask you basically, like, what's your favorite song on the album overall?
Oh man, my favorite song, you already know, man. You should know already, man. Purgatory Article.
Oh yeah, that joint was actually recorded before the album was even like an idea. Like, it was just a joint, like a collabo joint.
It was just a joint, man. It was like, you know, when that joint came out hot.
No doubt. It was like,
I really felt that one. So it's like, and the whole vibe to that whole song, the whole putting it together, the video and everything, man. Cause I remember, like, you know what I mean, like, a lot of people out here is like, yo, you gonna make a video out there and all this and that, and
Right.
nobody really felt that shit out. You know what I'm saying? And when I went to NY, man, like when that shit came together,
Yeah.
yo.
I had some of my people here was like, whoa, y'all in the buildings in New York, because you know we out here in a small college town, and our people was like, wow, you out in New York on rooftops, out there spitting. But that Purgatory article was the joint. I would say that my favorite is I've been thinking about it actually the last couple of days, and I was, I mean,
I got a few favorites myself, man, but it's like, Purgatory article is number one.
Yeah, I would say that's definitely a standout track for real. And I would say also a couple standout tracks are, because of the guest feature, Thurston Out the Third, I'd say Stairway to Bedlam. I would say The Fallen is a dope track. And Supernova Architects, I think personally that's one of my best verses on the album.
Yeah, Supernova Architect is a hot joint as well. That, I mean, that one there, I felt that one too.
Yeah.
On a different level though. You know what I mean?
And also A Murder of Crows, because of the narrative of it,
Yeah, Murder of Crows, man, that's a good one, storytelling joint. You know what I mean? But that was one of those joints that's like you could actually feel vividly. You know what I'm saying? So you could come on,
right.
You know what I mean? You could imagine that shit, play that movie in your head, listen to that shit.
Right, no doubt. And overall, I think it's just a good piece of work. Even the interludes and everything, I think is the order of it and everything. It's all good.
Shout out to Spearman for the beats, man.
Spearman, yeah, I connected with him randomly, I believe, on I don't know how I connected with him. It was on social media. It was on the internet, definitely. But it seemed like I met him around the same time I met you, which I did want to address that since Kevlar's on the album. Kevlar was involved in us connecting as a group. We met at a Wiseman show in Indianapolis, and I was with my brother, a man called Relic. That's the name he used to go by. And he was like, we had met you, and I think we were waiting in line at the bathroom or something, and you was like freestyling or something. You were just spitting or something. Something happened.
Your brother was spitting. Your brother had a cipher going on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
I was I was going to the bathroom and I got caught in the cipher. It was like right off the stage, man. Right on the side of the stage. So you remember the bathroom was like almost the back of the stage.
Right.
On the side. And
you surprised, and me and my brother was both surprised when you rap, because me and my brother, even though we from Indiana, bro, we got that true MC mentality. So we used to think everybody's whack. Like, that was our first idea. Our first thought is everybody's whack. Until you can prove otherwise, you're whack. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, when you was spitting, we was like, oh, okay. Me and my brother, he was surprised. He was like, yeah, okay, cool. Okay, that's what's up.
Yeah, man. I mean, I felt that it was a good night, man. I really that night was really one of those for the books, man. Cause
Beretta 9, Killer Army was there.
Yeah, Killer Army was there. Bronze Nazareth.
Yeah, Kevlar 7, all the Wisemen. Shout out to Kurt Pfeiffer. He put it together in Indianapolis. It was at Locals Only. That place is closed now. It used to be a little hub of underground hip hop, but yeah, it was definitely. So that's when we met. A brief clash of the Titans, and then afterwards, you had shown me some of your singles, and then I was like, man, why don't you drop these joints? And I said, you got all these joints. I said, why don't you put out a mixtape?
Yeah.
So then we put our heads together and we released your songs on as a mixtape called The Assassin's Touch.
The Assassin's Touch, check that out too.
Oh yeah, that's on bedlambrethren.bandcamp.com too. It's really, really dope, and it's got a few guest features. You got Timbo King on there, Holocaust, Purgatory Articles on there as well. That was the first appearance of Purgatory Article. I think you got a few other guest features on there as well. But what do you think is your best verse on the Bedlam Brethren Black Feather Messengers album?
Oh man, my best verse. Oh man, honestly, I'm probably gonna have to say Purgatory. I've said stuff before, but I'm telling you the whole album's dope, but Purgatory Article is probably one of those lyrics that I, written on.
Yeah, that's a dope joint.
I mean, like I said, I felt that one, man. That one was like, my mom, anybody that knows me, man, they know Udi. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Udi out here, by the way, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I've been out here for 25 years in Indiana.
Right.
But,
you always touch back down frequently to New York, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Shout out to all my peoples in NY, man. Love them, man. That's my heart out there.
Yeah.
Family, friends, and all that, you know what I mean?
Speaking of back in New York and speaking of the Black Feather Messengers album, while we're breaking it down, there's one particular guest feature that stands out because of your early connection, and that's Thurston Howell III. Now, I know a bit of this story, but for the listeners out there, could you tell them, like, what is the connection between yourself and Thurston Howell, and how did you end up getting him on the album? Because that was all you. Without you, he wouldn't have been on the album.
Thurston Howell, man, he's a little upstairs, man. See, my cousin married his uncle, was with his uncle, and they lived upstairs above from me. And my cousin, Jose, J Platinum, they both, you know what I'm saying, grew up together, and they would, chill and shit like that, because Hov is my cousin, you know what I'm saying, and, Thurston Howell, you know what I'm saying, is pretty much his cousin-in-law, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's how, the connection came. Thurston knew me since I was a kid, man. Me and my brother, since we were, young, running around the hallways and shit.
Right. And you told me how you came to, like, the realization that, that there was some kind of connection there. You said you were watching a video and you saw your fam in the video? Because you didn't make the connection that this dude that used to live upstairs was like...
Yeah. That was my dude Dave, man. Shout out Dave. 116 Productions. He's a Thurston Howell fan, man. And he put me on, man, a few years ago. He was like, yo, check this out, y'all. I want you to check this video out. You know what I mean? Thurston Howell. I was like, all right, let's see it. And he put it on, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, yo, the video was started off with him, with his family, showing pictures of his family. Next thing I know, I see a picture of my cousin and her husband, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
You're like, wait a second.
Yeah. And I was like, yo, hold up, yo, rewind that. So I played a few more times. So I was like, man, I got to get in contact with this dude, you know what I mean? I got to contact Thurston, man. So he did, you know what I'm saying? My dude found his number and all that, got his number, handed it to me, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, I called him up, and I left him a message. I said, listen, yo, my name's Udi, and I seen your video, I seen my cousin up in there, blah, blah, blah. And I said, he called me back, and he's like, yo, I don't normally, you know what I'm saying, pick up the phone with people or, call people back. You was saying stuff that's like, and it's like true and all that. So, then he was like, yo, you Udi Chito's cousin, right? And I was like, Chito's your cousin, with Chito's is Jose. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Chito, we used to call him Chito. And he was like, yeah, I was like, yeah. So he was like, yo, that's what's up, yo. Tell him I said, what's up? Tell him, you know what I'm saying? I'm a rapper now, you know what I mean? I rap, I don't think he knows that. You know what I mean? Because it's been a minute since Vic, you know what I'm saying, since I was a kid, you know what I mean?
Right.
I see him till then. A lot of us didn't know that he was rapping, that he was like that, you know what I mean? So,
So it's like, damn, you didn't even realize that, damn, this is a cat,
yeah,
like...
I mean, we started building from there, I called my cousin Jose, you know what I'm saying, started building with him again, and, just doing things on family strength, you know what I mean?
No doubt, yeah. Yeah, that's what's up, man. That's definitely a strong connection right there, because legendary with the low life movement and everything.
Definitely, man.
And I've been checking for him since.
Yeah, man.
I bought
Polo King.
I bought his first album. I lived in Columbus, Ohio. It was back in like 2000. I bought I went to this little underground spot. I used to go to a place called Bernie's Distillery. in Columbus, Ohio, and he had actually performed there before. He had came through and performed Thurston Howell III did. It was a legendary spot. I think Fife, when he was doing his solo album, Fife Dog, God Bless the Dead, did a show there too. And they had a lot of stuff. Megahertz, my guy Metaforce Omega was from there. I'm about to interview him on an upcoming podcast as well. He's connected to the Columbus, Ohio scene. But Thurston Howell III, I remember I went to this little underground record store in Columbus, Ohio, and I copped that Skillionaire mixtape. I was already familiar with him because of the whole movement behind Raucous Records and Polo Rican and all that, and also Game Recordings. He had put out some joints on there as well. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it was just dope all the way around. As far as the album, it had that freestyle energy, and plus he was in the Blaze battle, the first Blaze battle for Blaze magazine. So yeah, I was hipped in for a minute. So when I found out you was connected, I was like, bro, because we was sitting there trying to figure out who the guest features would be, and I was already building with Chief Kamachi, you know, and we was both already building with Kevlar independently of each other, you know, and the Wiseman. So it made perfect sense to have them included on there. And then, you know, I think, you know, also with the Verbal guys, you know, we met in Indy, and we both had connections to Indy as well. So it's like, you know, it's just, I think the stars kind of aligned for that project the way that when you look at it, as far as.
Yeah, I really, that's one of the things about Black Feather Messengers is that, you know what I'm saying, it really came together. Like literally came together so easy, you know what I mean?
Right.
So kind of like it's like it was really, really meant to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt.
That way.
Yeah. I can say that out of all of mine, I've done about 15, 20 music projects. I've been involved in it, that many. And I think that's one of my crowning achievements, you know what I'm saying? I think Furious Euphoria is a close second, but I think one of my crowning achievements as far as hip hop is participating in that album, you know.
Yeah, I need to check that out.
Check that shit out, man. BedlamBrethren.bandcamp.com. Bedlam, you know, Bedlam is like, you know, chaos, confusion, you know. Bethlehem, St. Mary.
Let them know what it really means, man. What with the acronyms and all that.
Bedlam is like, it's a shortened version. It was a mental institution in the UK called St. Mary of Bethlehem. It was known for how they treated the patients horribly, but it got shortened from Bethlehem to Bedlam, and it means like basically chaos and confusion. And also there's a couple different acronyms we use for Bedlam, which is, one of them was Blind Eyes Don't Look at Me. And that deals with like people that don't, it deals with being underground and behind the scenes, under the radar, you know. And then also, which we were just talking about earlier, about how everybody didn't really latch on to the album, you know, when we dropped it. But also, it stands for Beware, Evil Does Live Among Men, you know. And that's also indicative of where we're at in society right now. You know, it's avoiding traps. You know, you got to avoid those traps of life.
You know what's crazy is, man, you know, it's called Black Feather Messengers, man.
Yeah. And
we came out and we dropped, you know what I'm saying, messages right there on your front doorstep, yo.
No doubt.
And real talk, everything a lot of the things that was said on that album, man, is literally what's coming out, what we dealing with today.
Right. Yeah.
Society.
That's what I think, like the MCs, the best MCs are prophetic with their words, like they can foretell things.
I believe that too, man. Like sometimes we all are, man, and we just don't realize it. We just don't know. That's why they say, man, be careful what you say.
No doubt.
Be careful what you say. Bring that out into the world, man. You know?
No doubt. Your words can be given life.
Right. Exactly. But I'm saying, I think that album was set, I don't know, a little spark or something, man, because most of the things that was said on that album is literally, you know, what we're dealing with today.
I think a lot
on a lot of things, you know what I mean?
You know what I think? I think that that album, although it wasn't a huge commercial success, I think that album did influence a lot of underground. I'm talking about under the underground, like internet, like rappers that do this they used to do the whole, you know, that whole dark vibe, that whole dark knowledge vibe, you know, like maybe some like Wu-Tang type stuff. I think it influenced a lot of people that wouldn't necessarily be willing to admit that it influenced them, you know, because I mean, like even to this day, I just saw a group that popped up on my radar on one of my subscriptions, and they were called The Brethren, and they had this dark angle. That was the name of the group. It was like a hip hop group, and they had like these dark lyrics, and they were called The Brethren, you know. And I know it's funny because there's a lot of people that I've bumped into in just my dealings, you know, on the internet, as far as, you know, trying to promote music or just being in contact with people who are doing guest features or whatever, and they'll be like, oh man, you know, I heard that Bedlam Brethren album. I was like, wow, I didn't realize so many people actually, you know, heard it, you know. So I wouldn't underestimate the listenership of that or the fans, but I would say that I think that we've influenced, you know, not to sound egotistical or anything, but you know, like I said, I think that we held on to the code while other people let it go and was chasing different things, you know. And to me, my when I embarked on the Bedlam Brethren album, my thing is I'm sitting here in Indiana, and everybody, I grew up on your Tribe Called Quest and Redman and Wu-Tang and Rakim and Big Daddy Kane and Slick Rick and all this. So due to the fact that I'm a little older, I'm a man of a certain age, I was influenced by early hip hop. And when the hip hop was early, it was mostly New York centric. I mean, if you even look in NWA back in the day, they was like yo word, and they had Fat Dookie Ropes, and they would dress and talk like New York a little bit. So later on, it wasn't until later on when people came into their own and they started developing their own, like saying, this is our culture here, and everybody started coming up with their cultural identities in different areas, then things kind of changed. But I think that since early on, since I was known to be a rapper, and when I started, everybody that I would encounter in my specific area, which, you know, the Midwest, specifically Indiana, they would always refer to me to East Coast. During like the Tupac Biggie eras, oh, you do on the East Coast stuff, and then it would be like, oh, you're on that Wu-Tang stuff. So to me, Bedlam Brethren was a love letter, or better yet, a fuck you letter to everybody that had been calling me Wu-Tang all the time. So I'm like, okay, if you want me to go Wu, then I'll you know, I will reveal my true Wu-ness. You know what I'm saying? And go all the way in. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I mean, again, I mean, you gotta understand. I mean, you gotta understand how people is out here, though, man.
Yeah.
A lot of the culture, the hip hop culture out here, it's kind of like, you know.
Yeah.
It's like being in a gang these days. You gotta quiz these kids, like, what you know about hip hop, bro? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like I've met, like, in various different cities. You travel with me, so it's like I know people all over Indiana that are actually true blue hip hop heads and stuff, and really believe in it. But you know, there are, you know, as with anything, there are going to be posers, you know, that just don't really. It's just something to do. It's something that you can use as a mask to wear to look cool or sound cool, and not really be about the fundamentals or the code or the culture. You know, that's a little too much for a lot of people, you know, to go that deep into it.
Yeah, that's real talk, man. And that's, you know, and for those who don't know, when I talk about being quizzed on hip hop, yo, y'all ever go to the Bedlam Brethren show, y'all better know y'all hip hop game, because talking all that hip hop, this man right here, my man right here, yo, that's the walking, talking encyclopedia of hip hop. You know what I'm saying?
I try to. I got a little specific, like, group of artists that I've studied. I can't tell you everything about anything, you know, but I can there's the stuff that I do like and that I do listen to and that I do know about it. I'm not ashamed to let it be known, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I got, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, Rosie's like that too, man. Shout out Biggs Unique, man. You know what I'm saying? Biggs is like that too.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's always on point with it.
It's all about that information, man. You know, they say curiosity is the linchpin of intelligence. So, you know, I've always been hungry for knowledge since I was little. So that's why I took it way more seriously than a lot of people around me as far as rap goes. It's like, wow, you really went you went that far with it. Like you sitting here looking up, you know, who produced what and who's related to who. Yeah.
The hip hop culture, at least here and there. And when I talk about it, I'm talking about whole Indiana, because there's a lot of hip hop culture all over the world, man.
Right.
You know, you can't turn around to you know without seeing hip hop somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But what I'm saying is where I'm at right now, especially here where I'm at in Gold, Indiana. I mean, this is a retirement town, but the culture, believe it or not, man, still lives on even through these little small towns like that. You get
definitely
kids from, you know what I'm saying, young MCs from different close by states, Michigan. You got MCs from Chicago. You know what I'm saying?
Hawaii.
Yeah, man, they come through. You know,
Canada.
Yeah, they come through.
Japan.
In a while. You know, they show up over here for the lakes or whatever, you know, during the summer, whatever the case may be, and you end up, you know what I mean, you know what I'm saying, at a bar or something, you know what I mean, spitting rhymes or whatever, you know.
It's definitely a global culture, and it's definitely a craft, and it to me, there are these fundamental guidelines, you know, where people, you know, they adhere to them, and it's like the foundational structure of what this thing called hip hop is. It's like
right, exactly. And my thing is that if you don't have, you know, if you ain't grew up in New York and none of that, you was born in Chicago, you wasn't born in somewhere, it was like the culture you was born through the finding of the culture, you know what I'm saying? Or none of that will go through, you know, grew up with it or whatever. At least, you know what I'm saying, if you grew up over here, you know what I'm saying, but you love the culture, whatever, you know, do more, learn more about it, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Don't just listen to hip hop and say, yo, you know, and I am hip hop, I love hip hop. When you know what I'm saying? It's like, right. You really got to feel that culture. You got part of it, you better go all the way through with it, you know what I mean?
The people are the culture, that's the streets, and then the business is the skyscrapers, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, to me, a lot of people can't separate the culture from the business, because at this point, the business dictates the culture. It's like they take what people, street level, your average working class person creates and feed it back to them. They, you know, sell it back to them rather.
Corporations, man, that's how corporations do, man. They ruin everything. They try to, you know, just destroy something.
It's a commodity,
you know,
turn it into a commodity.
They're not making money, they're not making ends over it, you know, they'll destroy it, they'll take over it or whatever.
And it's not valuable if it can't be used. But I don't want to get too preachy, you know what I'm saying? Because I could sit here and preach for an hour, but I wanted to like address like future projects and the possibility of some of these hungry fans being able to consume a Bedlam burger in the near future. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yo,
what are the chances?
Yeah,
I'm writing slowly but surely. I mean, I got a solo project I'm working on right now with Chrome from Virginia.
Yeah, I mean, I still been sharpening my sword, you know, time to time, you know, so it's like, yeah, you know what I'm saying, Bedlam Brothers definitely gonna come out with something else. I mean, it just takes a little bit of time, but I've been on a little hiatus, you know.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, but for those that are waiting on a new Bedlam joints, it's definitely, you know what I'm saying, gonna be coming soon. You know, it's been in the talks. It's been, you know, throwing ideas around and you know, so it's, you know, things will be coming together soon.
No doubt. We got also, besides the Bedlam, the Black Feather Messengers album, you can also check out Bedlam Bullets. That's on bedlambrethren.bandcamp.com. And also, we got 3 joints posted up on that, as far as, which was supposed to be coming from Instruments of Cruelty. So that is BEDLAM. Then we got Assassin Art. We got When the Sun Speaks.
When the Sun Speaks, that's a hot joint right there. That's another one of those joints that I need to peep, man.
Yeah, that video is gonna be posted soon on social media for all of y'all that follow John Kafi or Merkaba or Bedlam Brethren. You know, I make sure that it's spread the love around. We got today we just posted Stairway to Bedlam, featuring the Low Life General, legendary Big Vic Low, also known as Thurston Howard III. So yeah, it's on the way. It's on the way, people. The Bedlam joint. I'll get Udi to do one joint.
It's definitely on the way. And for those that been patiently waiting, you know what I'm saying? Trust me, it's gonna be worth the wait.
Yeah, man, because you got people saying that they praying and fasting, bro. Like, if you fasting, they hungry, man. That's what he's trying to say.
That's love, though, man. I mean, that's, you know, that's the vibe. That's the vibe itself right there, man. When somebody says, yo, I'm praying, I'm fasting for the new album, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know. Love. Much love, though. Much love.
Yeah. We got people out there that's really, man. I'm telling you, over the years, this dropped in 2012, and I've had people in the last month hit me up. In the last year, hit me up. Like, it's periodic. You know, people, when's that new joint dropping? It'll be a message on Facebook, or it'll be a message on Instagram, or it'll be some kind of comment, you know. So it's like, it made an impact. I mean, we got Spearman saying he's working with all kinds of artists, and he said that's still his crown jewel as far as his achievement as a project, you know.
Oh, I'm sure Spearman will be definitely on board for a new joint.
Yeah, he's actually I'm gonna be interviewing him soon. Sunday, actually, I think I'm gonna be interviewing him, talking about some of his projects he's working on. And White Lotus hit me up about being a part of something called the Blue Lanterns. He said he's got a collective of artists. He was like, man, you and Udi should get down with the Blue Lanterns.
Yo, shout out to Lotus, man. That's my Canadian, the Canadian connection, right?
Oh yeah, I hit him up and he said that he's down to do an interview too. So he'll be discussing all the internal workings of the Blue Lanterns when we get him on. So, you know.
Yeah, we definitely gonna get on. We definitely gonna get on something, man. That's for real. And for those, like I said, for those that waiting, good things come to those that wait.
No doubt.
Believe me, when you hear that joint, you're gonna love it. It's definitely gonna hit you over the head with some shit.
No doubt. Yeah, it's gonna be dope. It's coming soon. In the meantime, I got the Merkaba joint, the Chariot, coming out. Collective effort with Chrome, producer that's worked with Chuck D and Brand Nubian and a lot of other people, some Wu-Tang affiliates, you know. So yeah, in the meantime, man, I mean, I'll put you as a guest feature on something. I could get you on a Chrome beat. I could send you a track like Falling Down. I wanted to do a Bedlam Falling EP with Falling Down beats. He hit me up not too long ago about doing something. I mean, you fuck around and do Bedlam Falling.
Shout out Falling Down.
Yeah, we could do some you know, that's the one of the students of Fourth Disciple, a Wu-Tang. He's got Wu-Tang connections, late producer for Kill Army, but won one of their last 2 albums. And also I talked to him about getting on there too. So this might turn into like a producer podcast or something, you know, because I'm getting a lot of people that are saying thumbs up to an interview. So we'll see how it goes. But man, I appreciate your time, bro. I don't want to keep you too long, but
no, thank you for having me, brother. You already know.
No doubt, and we'll have you back for sure.
Absolutely, man. Hell yeah. I want to give a shout out though to my dude Dave, Biggs Unique, 116 Productions.
Oh yeah.
Jay Platinum. You know what I'm saying?
Verbal Gods.
Yo, Verbal Gods, definitely Verbal Gods.
Thurston Howell the Third.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, so you know what I mean? And to all my peoples and why everybody listening out there, man, all the Bedlam fans, man, you know what I'm saying? That's one love, you know what I mean?
Yeah, share this podcast with a friend. Anybody that's heard Bedlam Brethren, or if you want them to be introduced to Bedlam Brethren, let them hear this.
Word up.
We'll have you back.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming through, Udi of Bedlam Brethren.
Word.
Peace.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to Coffee Talk. Are you interested in appearing on the podcast? Reach out to me at coffee.talk@gmail.com. Business owners and entrepreneurs are welcome. Sponsorship packages are available to have your product or service featured on Coffee Talk. Once again, that email is coffee.talk@gmail.com. That's KAFI.talk@gmail.com.